Pokepens.
Michael here. New Trico shirt! It's very likely that over the course of the years you've noticed that a lot of Pokemon are based off of animals. Everything from snakes to dogs to piles of trash. Wait, not that last one, but you get the idea. The majority of Pokemon are based off of real-life animals, but even though we have over 700 Pokemon today, there are still some animals that have yet to have Pokemon based off of them. My friend TrueGreen7 came up with the idea to count down the top 10 animals that deserve to have Pokemon based off them. So, we're collaborating to make that list. I'm discussing the first 5 here in this video, and he's discussing the last 5 over on his channel. I'll link to his video at the end of this one, but it's also down in the description in case you decide you don't care about 10 through 6. But you totally should, because I made them. Number 10, Peacock. Ah, the peacock. The bird whose name would sound far more inappropriate if used in a different context. Kidding aside, peacocks are pretty cool birds. They're not quite on the level of eagles or hawks, but their fantails are pretty sweet. They pull those off so much more majestically than turkeys. Maybe it could be a flying grass type with a leafy fantail, or a flying psychic type with emphasis on the eye spots on its feathers. Either way, Nintendo could do well with it. Number 9, moose. I was born in Alaska, so moose were a pretty common sight. I lost count of how many times one would just wander into our front yard. One thing I do remember though is how dangerous these things were. If you saw a moose, you got out of there. Quickly. Now take that big antler-headed beast and turn it into an even more dangerous creature that can fire off laser beams or trigger earthquakes. How cool would that be? I'd love to see an antlered Pokemon that's a bit heftier than Sawsbuck or Stantler. Or one that had gender differences between who had antlers. Either way, I think a moose would fit great as a Pokemon. Ice type seems like it would make the most sense, but with some creativity, I bet any type could be awesome. Number 8, Lama. If you did not like Emperor's New Groove, we cannot be friends. I'm just kidding. But seriously. Llamas are interesting animals. Long necks, fuzzy fur, sitting around chewing grass in the mountains all day. Doesn't that seem like the perfect Safari Zone Pokemon? Llamas are just such eccentric animals, I'm surprised they don't have Pokemon yet. I actually made some of my own in my great big book of Fakemon that I made in middle school, and Flyma and Airpaka were my llama Pokemon. Flying type llamas, actually, with clouds on their bodies. What? What's wrong with flying llamas? Number 7, Narwhal. I love imagining what God's thought process must have been when he decided to make narwhals.
I have a lot of whales, but they're all kind of boring. I know! I'll give them all spikes! On their faces!
And thus we have the narwhal. Such cool animals. Do you know that their tusks are actually used as sensory organs? Huh, isn't that fun? A narwhal Pokemon would be sweet though. It'd obviously be water type, but maybe you could have an ice tusk instead, just like these narwhal Pokemon I drew years ago, or these by LeafyHeart on DeviantArt. Either way, a big whale with an ice spear jumping out of the water would be pretty awesome. Number 6, Sabretooth. Have you ever noticed how none of the prehistoric Pokemon are mammals? I mean, we have reptiles and birds and arthropods, but no mammals. And there were tons of prehistoric mammals. Mammoth was already taken by a non-prehistoric Pokemon, although Mamoswine's nose is disappointingly short. But of the remaining members of the Ice Age gang, a Sabretooth would definitely make the coolest Pokemon. The fossil could be the Fang fossil, and maybe it could even be the first prehistoric Pokemon not to be rock type. Although they'd probably do that anyway. It would definitely make a really cool Pokemon though, since big cats with giant fangs are just awesome. So there we have it, that's my half of the list. Now head on over to TrueGreen7's video to see the last 5, and be sure to subscribe to his channel. Alright, that's all I have for now.
So until next time, Pokepens. Gotta catch them all.